Vanakkam. Hello friends. As we delve into the issue of establishing the antiquity of the Tamil civilization with the aid of language and literature, I would like to begin by a quotation from P.T. Srinivasa Iyengar from his work The History of Tamils from the Earliest Time to 600 AD. If chronology is the eye of history, then ancient Indian history will have to be always blind. This applies perfectly to the current exercise. How? For those of us who know our Tamil literature basics, whenever we think of the ancient Tamil literary works or the ancient Tamil period, what is the one word that immediately pops into our mind? Sangam, as in Sangam literature and Sangam period. Well, besides the fact that Sangam is not a Tamil word and never is it mentioned even once in any of the Sangam literatures, including its grammatical work, the brilliant Tolgapiyam, what is Sangam and how is it relevant to the exercise that we have in hand? Sangam refers to an academy of poets who are supposed to have gathered here in Madurai, where I live, and create literature. And as Dr. Kamil Zvelabil, the famous Tamil scholar from Czechoslovakia, stated, Tamil and Madurai are associated in a very special way. Now, having said that, Sanga Ilakyam or Sangam literature refers to a collection of poems known as the Pattu Pattu and Ettu Togai, of which we will have a very brief overview here. Ettu Togai is compiled on the basis of the number of lines per poem and are broadly divided into two categories, the Aham and Puram, a classification which is very unique to Tamil literature. Aham, which literally means heart, matters of the heart, blossoming of first love between the hero and the heroine, wherein the names of the lovers had to be kept anonymous, form the main corpus of Ettu Togai, followed by Puram, which denotes the valor and the greatness of the hero, who could have been a chieftain or a king. Thus, most of it is war poetry and also talking about ethics and values and the way of life of the Tamil people. Now, Ettu Togai, we will start with the Agam works, as you can see in the table. Aingurunuru, Kurundogai, Natrinai, Ahananuru, and Kalitogai belong to the Aham category. Purananuru and Paditrupattu to the Puram category, and Paripadal has both Agam and Puram in it. Altogether, the 8 anthologies run to about 2,371 poems, composed by a little over 470 poets whose names we know, and a little over 100 poets whose names we do not know. Now let's go to Pattu Pattu, the 10 ideals, and here again Dr. Zvelabil says Pattu is a misnomer given the length and the context of each and every one of these very significant works. They are the Tirumurugatrupadai, Purnaraatrupadai, Sirubanaatrupadai, Perumbanaatrupadai, Malaipadukadam, which is also known as Kootharaatrupadai, Kurinjipattu, Patinapale, Nedinalvadai, and Madurai Kanji. Now, of these works, Nedinalvadai and Madurai Kanji are both centered around Madurai, and the upper limit of the chronology of this anthology of works is affixed with the help of inscriptional evidence. For example, Madurai Kanji, sung by Mangudi Marudanar, is in praise of the Pandya king Nedunjeliyan, and we have here in the Mangulam village, which is very close to Madurai, an inscription found in a rock cave with Tamil Brahmi that has been predated to 200 BCE, which mentions the name of the king. We also know of Emperor Ashoka's Girnar rock edicts, which belong to 3rd century BCE, where again he talks of the Pandyas, the Cholas, the Kerala Putras, and the Satyaputtas. And we know that his ascendancy to the Magadha throne happened in 273 BCE. Also, the Nandas and the Mauryas are mentioned in the Ahananoru and Purananoru, and given that these empires were at their peak between the 4th century and 3rd century BCE, we can very safely affix the upper limit of these Sangam poems as 3rd century BCE. Now, coming to the lower side, K.N. Sivaraja Pillai, in his chronology of early Tamils, has tabulated the names of the chieftains and the kings belong to all the three dynasties over the entire period of time, that is about 400-500 years, and has affixed the latest date as ending at around 2nd century AD. So given this time period of the Sangam, where the poets belong to the Cholas, the Cheras and the Pandyas, spread over the whole of the Tamil country and numbering into hundreds and spread over a span of around 500 years, how did they all come to be included into one category of poets known as the Kadaichangam or the last Tamil Academy? To understand this, we have to now go to the interesting work of grammar that we have, which is known as Irayanar Ahapporul. Ahapporul itself being a very later name affixed to it, it is called Kalaviyal, a simple grammatical work of 60 aphorisms that talk about premarital love, that is Kalavu, and marital love, that is Karpu. And these were such an integral part of the Tamil way of life that they needed their own grammar. And we do not know when the Kalaviyal was sung or by whom, but we have a commentary on Kalaviyal which is ascribed to Nakirar, and this reaches us in the 7th century AD. How? It is given to us by one Neelagandar of Musiri, who claims that the commentary itself was passed on through oral tradition for 7 generations, and here he is in the 7th century AD recording it and handing it over to us for posterity. The entire scheme of the Sangams for the first time are mentioned elaborately in this Kalaviyal Urai, and today it is known as Irayanar Kalaviyal Urai, where the term Irayanar itself, supposedly meaning the author of the Kalaviyal, was affixed as late as the 11th century AD by Ilampuranar, a commentator of Tolgapiyam, the grammatical work. So herein lies the chronology. Now let us delve into the way in which the Sangams have been formulated in the Irayanar Kalaviyal Urai, the commentary. Starting with the Kadaichangam or the last academy, you can refer to the table. The commentator claims that this academy existed for a period of 1850 years and had for its patrons the Pandya kings from Mudattirumaran up to Ukkiraperuvaludi, with 449 poets, 49 head poets. We've already seen the works, the Pattu Pattu, Ettu Togai, and a few others that are added here, like the Kuttu, Vari, Kuttisai, Perisai, which we don't have, and the names of the poets like Sirumedaviyar, Sendambudanar, Perungundur Kidar, etc. Now, where was this Kadaichangam? Here in Madurai. Preceding this is the middle Sangam or the middle academy, which is stated to be around for 3700 years from Vendar Chediyan to Mudattirumaran, patronized by 59 Pandya kings, with 3700 poets and 59 head poets, with a lot of works like Perungali, Kurugu, Vyazamalai, Ahaval, none of which are available to us except the Tolgapiyam, and of course the poets like Mosi, Vellur Kapiyanar, Sirupandarangan, Thirayan, etc. And the seat of this was Kabadapuram. Again, going further still, the first academy or the Mudar that existed for 4449 years with 4449 poets, with 549 head poets, with the works such as Perum Paripadal, Mudunare, Mudukuruhu, and the poets such as Lord Shiva himself, Ahathiyar, Lord Muruga, Murinjiyur, Mudinaharayar, etc. And where did this exist? In Kadal Konda Tenmadurai. Now this explanation given in the Irenar Ahaporul has been around with us for a long time and has been the foundation on which we have been talking about these Sangams for all this time. But the word Sangam itself, if you have to prove with epigraphical evidence, is mentioned only once as Dravida Sangha in an inscription found here in Madurai, assigned to the year 470 AD by one Jain monk, Vajranandi. That said and done, did these Sangams exist? Here, I would like to quote again K.N. Sivaraja Pillai, his work, The Chronology of Early Tamils. Considering the warlike nature of that early period, the unsettled state of political existence then obtaining, the very idea of a literary academy could not have been anything else than foreign to it. Now he goes on to describe in very empathetic terms the life of the poets who lived in those times. It was a life of poverty, and some of the songs in these anthologies really shake you up with their description of poverty. And they were always dependent on a patron, being a chieftain or a king, and spent their lives praising their patrons and looking forward to the gifts that they received to keep them alive. Where would they have had the inclination or the means to keep referring to an academy of scholars sitting in faraway Madurai to approve of their works? The entire gamut of poets having been spread over the large area of the then Tamil country, this would not have been practically possible. But still, again, Zwellabel tries to take a middle approach and claims that, well, these academies may have existed on a much smaller scale within the context of Madurai, because if we are to believe that the original commentary was by Nakirar, Zwellabel holds Nakirar in a very exalted status on the context of the outstanding work that is Nedinal Vadai, which he ranks as one of the best poems in the world. So why would a person of the caliber and integrity of Nakirar had to imagine these academies and then the names of all the scholars, the names of all the works? Well, as we know, many of them have been lost in course of time to us. And if we are to go to an important reference by T.G. Aravamudan, the great historian, in the year 1932, he has studied the commentary and mentions how it is of excellent pedigree, and Nakirar has quoted several grammatical authorities. Out of the 53 quotations that he has used to decide on grammatical issues, 33 are from Tolhapiyam, 5 are from a forgotten grammatical work by one Padalanar, and the rest from unknown sources. So many of our ancient literary works have really been lost to us over time, and we know of their presence by the names that are mentioned in various works that came after them, or by the poems itself being quoted as reference points. He also further identifies quotations from literary sources in the commentary, numbering to 379, out of which 41 are from old Tamil works and 326 quotations are from a single work known as the Pandikovai. The Pandikovai again belongs to Kovai, which is again a kind of a love poem, and here the hero of the Pandikovai is the Pandya king Nedimaran, whom we know as Koon Pandian, and his time is clearly established as lying between 670 to 775 AD. Now he was the king in whose court Thirunjana Sambandar sang his famous Tirukadai Kaappu. Now here in comes the disorder in chronology that P.T. Srinivasa Iyengar was talking about. So, how and when do we assign a time period to this commentary? And leaving this, we will go on to the next issue of the two places that are mentioned as the seats of the middle and first Sangams, Kabadapuram and Tenmadurai. Here we need to take a journey into yet another great epic, the Silappadiharam, composed by Ilango Adigal, which is compared to the Iliad, the great Greek work, with its 5,731 verses. It is an epic of sorts, wherein the legend has it that Ilango Adigal was the brother of the Chera king Sengutuvan, who is historically placed as 2nd century AD. But here again, scholars like Zwelabel, based on the epic's language style and structure of composition, assign a much later date to around 5th century AD. Now, in the whole of Silappadiharam, there is one interesting poem that the Tamil scholars have taken into consideration to validate the claims of the middle and the first Sangams. பகுருளி ஆற்றுடன் பன்மலை அடுக்கத்து குமரிக் கோடும் கொடுங்கடல் கொள்ள வடதிசை கங்கையும் இமயமும் கொண்டு தென்திசை ஆண்ட தென்னவன் வாழி. So here the author mentions the existence of the Pahuruli river and a multi-layered hill known as the Kumari Hills, both south of the existing Cape Comorin or Kanyakumari, and claims that they were swallowed by the sea. And then the Pandya king of that time went up to the Gangetic plain and the Himalayas and conquered those lands and affixed them. Now this is all that he says. But here again comes the commentator Adiyarku Nallar, whose commentary itself comes about in the 12th century AD, where he elaborates on this, making a region with 49 territories spread between the Pahuruli river and here Kumari Kodu, that is the multiple hills, gets its own river, the Kumari river, and these 49 territories are classified into 7 divisions each, namely the divisions of Gangai, Madurai, Munpalai, Pinpalai, Kurumbanai, Kullanadu and Kunakkarai, each having 7. So 7 into 7, 49 territories, expanding to a large area of around 700 kadams. We don't know how much a kadam is, and almost implies that it is to make up for this lost land that the Pandyan king had to go and annex the territories up north of the Gangetic plain spreading up to the Himalayas. Now, other than this, there are a few other references in Tamil literature that talk of the tsunamis that happened in those days and lands that were lost in the seas. If I might just add one more, the Kurundogai song of Panamparanar, Arkali Miditha Neer Tihal Silambir, Kurasaindanayai Nadungadal Kande, a kind of a tsunami that rocked the mountains and swallowed the lands. This and a few other references. One more would be by Solan Nal Urthiranar, where he sings Malithirai ஊர்ந்து தன் மண்கடல் வௌவலின் மெலிவின்றி மேற்சென்று மேவாறு நாடிடம்பட புலியோடு வில்நீக்கி புகழ் பொறித்த கிளிர்கெண்டை வலியினான் வணங்கிய வாடாசீர் தென்னவன். Here the Pandya king, on losing his territory to the sea, had to go and affix the land of the neighboring Chera and Chola kings and regain his territory. Now, scholars like to place the Kabadapuram and Tenmadurai in somewhere of these regions, and none of this has any evidence historically, and this goes on and develops into an imagination of a submerged land which takes on its name and proportions and becomes a lost continent, about which we will be seeing in our next episode, Kumari Kandam. Thank you.